children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Andy Pettit, and during my 18 years in professional baseball, I had some great teammates. Now I couldn't be prouder to join the team at Shriners Hospital for Children. With 22 locations in the United States, Canada, and Mexico, Shriners Hospitals for Children provides expert pediatric specialty care for orthopedic conditions, burns, spinal cord injuries, and cleft lip and palate. Shriners Hospital for Children brings love to the rescue for children each day, even if the family doesn't have the ability to pay. But they can't do it alone. Will you join the Shriners Hospital for Children team by making a donation to help change lives of children? These amazing children are inspiration to everyone. Please join me and go online today and make a donation.
At Shriners Hospitals for Children, love is caring for a child, regardless of the family's ability to pay. If you know a child we can help, visit ShrinersHospitalsForChildren.org.
The official radio station of Super Bowl 56.
Powered by Pepsi.
WGSX Nathan
104.3.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
There's no need to fear.
The Underdogs are here. The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air.
What time is it?
Broadcasting from the Rib Crib Radio Room. Time to let the big dogs eat. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome into the Rib Crib Radio Room. It is Tuesday, January 18th of 2022. I am David Hayes along with Old School. We make up the Afternoon Underdogs. Give us a call or text today, 850-215-6290. We're on the radio, 104.3. We're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and with our TV partner, Blab TV. Be sure to like and share our Facebook page, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and download the new app and register 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We're playing trivia that's brought to you by Merchant Management Group. A chance for you to win a $25 digital gift card to one of the following restaurants: Cafe Del Mundo, which is a new cafe in the Cove; Empowerment Cafe, a new restaurant right there near Gulf Coast State College; King Kong Milk Tea and Smoothie Bar. It's a new smoothie bar in Panama City Beach; Shore Dogs, also on the beach; and Sombreros Mexican Grill, which is a new restaurant on the beach side. If you're a business owner, take a minute, check out how much you spent on credit card processing fees in 2021. You had to spend something. If you want to eliminate those fees and you want it to be a free consultation, give our friends over at Merchant Management Group a call, 850-747-0664. They're located right here in downtown Panama City, and they will take care of you. The trivia question for today: Alan Watson and Old School would hit the nail on the head as soon as you ask the question. I assume anyways. What are errant shots from players who don't yell "for" called? Do you know the answer off rip, Old School? Don't tell me the answer. That's the trivia question.
I know an answer, but it is not the answer that you have for the trivia question. The answer that I would have is, if you don't yell "for," it's a butt kicking. That's what you will get.
Well, let's see if we can get an answer. I scrolled across this one on Twitter at some point in time today, and I was like, I've never heard them called that.
I
So
haven't either.
let's see. We should have a lot of golfers in our area, as nice of weather as we do have year-round. 850-215-6290 for your chance to win a $25 digital gift card to one of the 5 restaurants I mentioned earlier. Last night, man, it kind of seemed like the game was going to go this way beforehand, but I was just trying to breathe inspiration into the air that we could finish off the wild card round with a good game. There was nothing about last night's game that was good as far as a good contest, unless you're a Rams fan. If you're a Cardinals fan, I think that you opened up more questions that haven't been answered rather than getting answers on what you need to do for next year. Uh, you almost say the Colts, the Cardinals, and the Eagles all in this position of, do they really have their number one guys set up for the future? I mean, you know, it's really tough when you don't have a DeAndre Hopkins in the lineup. It's hard to stretch the field with an older AJ Green, even though DeAndre Hopkins is getting in to that area as well. But stretching the field with an AJ Green and a Christian Kirk, it's a big challenge. So old school, the Rams dominate the Cardinals last night, 34-11. What'd you take away from that game before we get into some of the questions that I have revolving around last night's game?
What I came away with it from is that they're just not ready yet. They're so young. The Cardinals, we're talking about, young quarterback, a young head coach. They haven't been there. I don't know if this is, haven't been to the playoffs before. And they just looked overwhelmed by the moment. They just looked overwhelmed by it. Kyler Murray, I'm like, this guy was a Heisman Trophy winner who made that ridiculous
was
pick six.
Was that? I think my dad texted me last night. He was like, "That could be a trivia question for you. What's the shortest pick six in playoff history?"
I mean, we were all making fun of Matt Stafford when on a Monday night game he made a similar play where he just panicked, and it was the same thing happened here. What I saw all night long from Kyler Murray was pure, unadulterated panic. Just not a clue where to turn, what to do, completely overwhelmed by the moment.
Is that Rams defense becoming what we thought it would be when they picked up Von Miller? I mean, he's not even in on every play, but the plays that he's in, the offensive line now has Von Miller and Aaron Donald. And when you get behind in a game with the Rams, you're facing them on just about every down in a pass rush capacity, and that is not the way that you want to defend Von Miller and Aaron Donald.
Yeah, I mean, what I saw was one of the first games of the year we watched the Rams, and everybody was like, "Oh man, this Rams team they're real. This is a Super Bowl contender." And then through the season, they had different moments where we were like, "Man, are they really real? Are they really a Super Bowl contender?" But after last night with the defensive just havoc that the Rams were throwing out, and they are Super Bowl contenders without a doubt.
And you brought something up there about the question marks around the teams, and I don't think that there's a team in the playoffs right now that didn't have those question marks surrounding them at some time. The Bills went through a little stretch where we're like, especially starting the season out losing to the Steelers. And then the Chiefs. Man, is Patrick Mahomes really worth $500 million? And then you go to the Titans. Can they do it without Derrick Henry? Oh my gosh, third week of the season, you lose to the Jets. What do the Titans and the Bengals have in common? Both teams lost to the Jets. So there's question marks there. And a lot of the way for the Bengals, it really did seem like they're making the playoffs, but you never put them in Super Bowl contender area or as far as lined up with Chiefs, Bills, and the Titans really, honestly, were not expected to be at the number 1 seed, number 2 seed even, really, in the AFC. You go to the Packers starting the year out, ugly loss to the Saints where Jameis Winston looked like he was going to be the savior for the Saints. But ever really since that loss for the Packers, those questions have kind of been answered week by week. Outside of the times, well, man, COVID for Aaron Rodgers and all that stuff. You go to the Bucs, in a lot of injuries, but they've had almost, a lot of consistency throughout the season, but those inconsistencies were glaring at times. The Rams, the same way. You were mentioning that. So all of these teams have had questions. I think the Rams are putting forth the most exclamation point type answers to this point.
Well, I mean, the one that really made the difference for me was Cam Akers. I mean, that guy just came out blazing. I mean, and here's a guy that just getting through rehab over an Achilles and just came out blazing. I mean, I was like, wow.
Did you hear the part of the story where he was in rehab and he was like telling Matt Stafford, we'll see you in the playoffs. And Matt's like, yeah, right.
Yeah, right, sure. But, I mean, it was just so impressive that he came back and, the running game was there. The passing game was there. Defensively, they just wreaked havoc. And I'm like, wow. And we talked about it yesterday. Could they really create an atmosphere in that building where they had a home field advantage? And apparently you can, because the Cardinals just looked completely befuddled.
Yeah.
I mean, just absolutely had no idea which way to turn, what to do. I don't think they made a first down in the first quarter. I think halfway through the second quarter, they finally got a first down. It was just, it was just again, to me, the Cardinals appeared to be a team that was too young and just not quite ready for the prime time.
And especially going up against a team that, in a sense, is battle tested, right?
Sure.
They've had guys in this position before. Most of the guys on the roster they're not too far away from a Super Bowl appearance against the Patriots. And then they've added some very deep depth over there. How much blame lands on Coach Cliff Kingsbury?
I think there's, don't, I don't want to say a lot, but yet a substantive amount. I mean, we're talking about a guy that never really won in college. I mean, at Texas Tech, he was a good quarterback for Texas Tech, and then he became a coach. But he was never super duper successful,
Right.
as a winner. And then somehow ends up to be the offensive coordinator at USC for a cup of coffee. Well, one swallow of a cup of coffee.
Yeah, you got to sip.
Yeah, and then now, no, I'm going to be the head coach at the university for the Arizona Cardinals.
The University of Phoenix.
I mean, it was just crazy how fast, and all of a sudden here he is. He's the head coach, and then he starts out the year, and the Cardinals looked impressive, and Kyler Murray is doing these things. That guy could be the MVP. That guy,
Yeah.
could be the MVP.
I think Greg called in yesterday, and what did he say the score was going to be? 34-20, and that's with a late score by the Cardinals. The Cardinals never got that late score, and he was right on point, and especially in the description of the game that he thought we were going to see. It was exactly right, and those guys just weren't ready last night. Old school,
We're not ready.
It was none of the screens were working, none of the short passes were working. James Conner was about the brightest light for the Cardinals last night, and we knew it needed to be that way, but then also the rib injury that he was dealing with definitely kind of held him back last night. How much do you think the absence of Hopkins meant to the Cardinals last night?
Well, it had to mean a lot, because we saw their offense operate at a high level during the season when Hopkins was there. But last night, it was just nothing worked for them. And every time Kyler Murray would get into a panic mode situation, a screen pass, he would throw it as hard as he could throw it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no touch. There was no feel. There was no sense of the feel of the game. It was just, in my mind, it looked like a tsunami happening to them, and they could not get out of their own way. And it just was a team that just appeared to me to be completely ill-prepared for that moment.
Well, let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum. How much blame lands on Cliff Kingsbury? We answered that. Well, let's look at Sean McVay and how much credit does he get for that game last night? And not only that, the pass OBJ threw last night, 40 yards. They had worked on it in practice. The commentators were talking about how he really wasn't throwing it that strong. And if we're being honest, that pass last night was not particularly good looking, even though it worked out. How genius is this man keeping a character like OBJ happy? Because if you do keep him happy and your team is winning, you're creating a great locker room vibe, right?
Oh, without a doubt. But you know what? The biggest thing for me that I was impressed with McVay last night was his commitment to run the ball.
Oh, yeah.
He came in with a commitment that we're going to run it, and then everything else will come off of our ability to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
That's just old-fashioned football. He may be the new whiz kid, whatever offensive genius, but it's still just football, which is you run the ball to set up the ability to do other things. And we saw that last night. They ran the ball incredibly effectively, and then everything else worked because of their ability to run.
Are Georgia fans who may not have an NFL team, or if they do have an NFL team, they're already out of the playoffs, they've already made their exit, are they rooting for the Rams be having a Georgia quarterback in Matthew Stafford. And then, yeah, Cam Akers is coming back, but Sony Michel right there, another Georgia alum. Do you think that there's a lot of rooting going on for just in general? Got to be Matt Stafford, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a kid that was the number one high school quarterback who came to Georgia because of Mark Richt. And then he was the number one quarterback coming out of college, and he went to Detroit. And, because Detroit had the number one draft pick, and they took him. And, there's never been a question about his competitiveness or his ability or his willingness to play hurt. So, yeah, I think I think there were a lot of people in Georgia last night that were really happy to see him get a win and to play at the level that he did. And then Sony Michel, a Georgia boy who was the number one running back coming out of high school. Everybody was so excited for him. And then he got to Georgia, and he was good, but he was never. Then Nick Chubb came in and kind of took his thunder or glory. So it was good to see them both having a major role in that offensive performance that they put on last night.
I think we keep coming back to it, but the addition of Cam Akers, not only the fire that's lit under his tail because he hasn't been able to play all year long, the vigorous rehab he had to do to get back, but when Sean McVay, who's normally, now, I don't want to say an air raid guy, but he likes to air it out, and that's why they went and got Stafford. When he's committing to the run game like that, I know, and it's smart for them to do too, right? Because their next opponent in Tampa Bay, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, and what have they been great at just about every single performance week in and week out this year? Stopping the run.
Right.
Well, stick to it if you're McVay and see what happens here in the next game. Hopefully, San Francisco 49ers, Green Bay Packers, the NFC, the Rams, and the Bucks. We're shaping up to get some really good games here for the divisional round, but also I was thinking we'd have some better ones in the wild card round.
Well, what's exciting about it is we've seen some offenses that are now starting to hit their stride.
Yeah.
Other than the Chiefs. The Chiefs are what they were in the past, but we're seeing
the Bills.
The Bills were, wow, what an offensive performance. Last night we saw a great offensive performance by the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
We saw an exciting performance by the Bengals when Joe Burrow and Chase. And so there's an opportunity now to see some games where you go, man, this could really be an exciting game to watch. It's not going to be 9-3. It's going to be an opportunity for people to show off their offensive ability and the defenses to have to stand up to it. All
right. Well, one of the negatives from that game last night, Cam Akers was making one of those hard runs. Budda Baker comes up to stop him. Nothing illegal about the hit, but helmets kind of collided, and then the knee of Cam Akers follows into the helmet of Budda Baker. Immediately, you could just tell right there he was kind of knocked out, but he left the field on a stretcher, went to the hospital, and reports have come out today himself posting on Instagram saying he's doing good, he's going to make a full recovery, and that's great news because we saw I'm using this term loosely, but the taunting from Cam Akers after the hit where he was kind of like, putting his head over him but Cam did not know what was going on at that point in time, and as soon as he realized, you saw in his face like, oh man, this is a lot bigger than what I was thinking was going on at first.
Yeah, I think what Cam was trying to do was to express the fact that he is a physical running back,
mm-hmm.
that he was going to deliver punishment. And when he did, and Baker's hurt, his initial reaction was to stand over him but then once he realized, oh, wait a minute, there's more here than what I'm seeing, then we saw a different side of that. And it's not something that I don't think we can look at him and think that his behavior was inappropriate.
Oh, no, not at all. All right, you're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs right here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to take a quick time out. When we do get back, we'll have your Minute with Max, Boston Tim, and so much more.
My weather forecast overnight, mostly clear, light winds from the southeast. Overnight temperature 43 to 49. Partly to mostly sunny, very close to 70 Wednesday, light south winds. A weather front coming in Thursday and Friday with a chance of showers, mostly cloudy. Highs in the 60s Thursday, 50s on Friday. This weather forecast has been brought to you by All About Garage Doors, your garage door repair specialist. For 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
ESPN Northwest Florida. War Eagle.
Auburn basketball returns to the Auburn Sports Network.
8-8, 17-footer. Banked it in. Watson, dunk. It's the jam.
Wednesday, Auburn returns home to battle the Georgia Bulldogs.
Kessler with a two-hand stop. But Cardwell slams it home. Long three, KD, good.
Coverage begins at 7:30 Central on your home for the Auburn Sports Network.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
At Slim Chickens, craft means something. Craft means bacon. And oh, so crispy. Craft means a good cayenne kick. And all-natural buttermilk marinated, made fresh, perfectly fried chicken. All served on toasted brioche buns. At Slim Chickens, craft means quality. And for a limited time, try our new Memphis-style barbecue chicken sandwich. Try Slim's Craft Sandwiches today. Slim Chickens.
Ben and Deb Collins, owners of Bay Guns and Gear, have been in business since 2010, offering new firearms and accessories with a huge selection available for your hunting needs and personal defense. Turn to Bay Guns and Gear. They have the weapon for you. Discount pricing. And if you can't find what you're looking for, they'll special order it for you. Bay Guns and Gear, across from Grease Pro at 3115 Highway 77. Visit their website, baygunsandgear.com.
Bestway Portable Buildings has been in the Panama City area since 1989. They've been here longer than anyone else. The reasons? High quality, reasonable prices, and tremendous service. Stop by and see owner Jason Mulder and let him and his staff help you pick out the perfect building for your home or business. Just down from Harts Marine on North Highway 231. Online at bestwayportablebuildings.com. Member of the BBB. Bestway Portable Buildings. The best in portable, period.
The #1 SEC call-in show is now twice as big. It's double the Paul Feinbaum Show. Weeknights starting at 6.
Okay, but also go faster.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. Live from the Rib Crib Studio. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into the Rib Crib Radio Room, and we are your exclusive radio headquarters for Super Bowl 56. Listen live and in ultra-high fidelity, a rich audio experience you can only get on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. This is your minute with Max, who represents PRG, Rib Crib, and a bunch of great restaurants that is with the Panhandle Restaurant Group. Max, delighted. What's going on, bro?
Hey, it's great to be back and to see Old School back in a seat.
Hey, better this Tuesday than last Tuesday, right?
Yes, it is.
Why is that? Why?
I don't know. Well, I was bummed we were off the.
Well, you didn't wear the Alabama shirt in on Tuesday last week?
I was going to give you a callback to 2021 just since the Bears beat your hero Pete Carroll. Without your Red Rifle quarterback with Nick Foles, and I didn't forget that. And I was making sure you were healthy enough to say it to your face, but I'm just messing with you. Yeah, Georgia won the national championship.
Yeah,
we covered it. We called you.
We covered it. Huh? I just knew you would come in wearing your Alabama shirt and, talking about Stetson Bennett can't win. He's an embarrassment for a starting quarterback.
He's got a great defense.
He's got a great defense. And, he delivered when he needed to. That's why they call him the mailman, because he delivers.
He delivers. So what's going on with Rib Crib and other PRG restaurants? We had kids.
Coffee. You guys are getting a coffee company.
It's coming. PJ's
that is
Coffee
so
out of
cool,
New Orleans.
Man.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's a little more affordable than Starbucks, I would say. It's a lot better, in my opinion. That's coming. I don't want to make any promises I can't keep.
Let's not do that.
Yeah,
Let's not do that.
It should be coming 2022 on, Knowing
that it's coming in itself is great.
Coming,
you know what I'm saying? For those of us that like to travel if you're a quick weekend warrior like myself and Victoria, we love to go over to New Orleans, and you don't see the Starbucks there, you see PJ's over there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so if you love it over there, you know the coffee already, so you'll be really happy to have it over here when it does get here.
Definitely, yeah. And I know one of the sites we'll be bringing is near Patronus Elementary over on the beach.
Near Thomas Drive over there.
Yeah,
That's
along
fantastic.
with my boss, Chris McMillan's own concept, C-Max.
Yeah.
Which will be
Yeah,
some
looking forward
fried
to that.
seafood, over on Thomas Drive. So
And then
got
850 Pizza as well.
Yeah, that's in the works over near Springfield.
How hard is this for you to keep up with as an accountant?
It's hard. There's so many. Our pipelines, because that's just the Bay County stuff, and we only have Rib Crib here right now. It's Ribs and Rides Thursday. Come on down.
There we go.
It's going to be exceptional.
But man, we just doubled in size December 1st. Added 10 more Sonics and throughout Florida and Georgia. So just every day.
How many total restaurants now does your group have?
22.
22.
Yeah.
Wow. And you get to count all of that?
I get to count all that. All
That's
the beans.
fun, man.
all those
beans. And it's all got a balance now. It all has to balance.
Has to balance. That is for sure.
A lot of vegetables.
So last night was kids' night for Rib Crib,
yes,
right?
it was. Yeah, where you buy an adult entree, you get a kid's meal for.
And that starts at 4:30, and that's every Monday or once
every
a month?
Monday.
All right.
Every Monday.
So every Monday,
Wow, that's awesome.
get you and your family out to Rib Crib,
Yeah,
buy
save some
one
money.
adult entree, and you'll get a free kids meal with that. Any spirit nights coming up?
Not to my knowledge. Just
Okay.
Ribs and Rides. It should be a big one. We've been starting to get a lot more car groups reaching out to us about it. So.
And
we're
Chunky
excited
Boy's
about
getting a sandwich?
They should be out there. They were out there for the trick or treat too. I
Oh,
love those
dude,
guys.
yeah, they are. Jamal, they do a great job.
they're great
Shane
for
and
the
all them.
community, too.
No doubt about it. So let's get into the NFL playoffs. What are some things that have stood out to you, Max, after Wild Card Weekend?
Oh man, it was a really good weekend. I thought of games. At least Sunday was. There's some good drama. I don't know.
There was 2 good games on out
Yeah.
of 6. It depends on what you were looking for
I
out
guess,
of those
yeah.
games, though.
Right.
Yeah.
That changes.
Even the games that might necessarily not have been exceptional games as far as the score goes, you got to see in the Pittsburgh game. It wasn't a great game, but we knew it was Ben's last game, so it was great to see Ben go off and be able to play with Juju and have.
When
Juju
you say
back.
go off, you mean like go off the field or?
Go off
Into the sunset.
into the sunset, my friend.
Oh, not necessarily go off as in perform well.
No, but he got to go off with a playoff.
Yeah.
With a playoff berth rather than just finishing off in the regular season with half of his team hurt and him just being overweight and old. You know what I mean? He got to progress a little bit further, and obviously we all knew he had no chance in the game, but it was good to see that.
And I feel like some questions got answered too. I mean, Mike McCarthy's still terrible.
That's true.
And I think.
Does Jerry Jones continue his streak with coaches of letting the leash get just a little too long,
I
or
don't know.
does he?
That's a good question because
nip it in the bud?
Mike McCarthy's really taken a lot of the grunt of it because Kellen Moore is just as guilty with that many weapons on offense to not succeed. And I don't know. I think a lot of this weekend was a lot of questions answered of just who's for real and who's not.
Yeah.
Like Tom Brady without a couple receivers now, Godwin and Brown, he was still slanging.
Yeah.
And then I think the Raiders are impressive that they made the playoffs. That interim coach should get hired on the spot for.
So you
turning
think?
that around.
So you think that even though that they got rid of Mike Mayock, keep it going with Bisaccia?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That was a lost team. The Bears beat them. We beat them and the Bengals. I was watching the game dang, we beat these guys. But the Bengals
the
are
proud
legit,
moment of a Bears fan in the playoffs.
Yeah, that and when the Packers lose in the NFC Championship game.
So how many total wins did the Bears have?
7.
7.
Yeah, I
They
think
got
you said
7.
that. I think you said 6 and 11 or 7 and 10. So you were spot on.
I was right on the money.
I think I said
as
8
usual.
and 9. As usual. Missed you, man.
So how do you feel about that? What were your expectations for the Bears at the beginning of the season?
Pretty tempered.
Were they really? I mean,
yeah, it's
the whole Justin Fields.
I was excited for him.
They have high hopes but low expectations, right?
Yeah, it was I wanted to see it, and it's Justin Fields has kind of been getting bagged online, and it's dude, he had Matt Nagy, he had nothing. Allen Robinson basically punted on the season.
Yeah, but I mean, at least Trubisky. I mean, he got Trubisky to the playoffs a couple of times.
The defense got them to the playoffs. That defense was wicked, and Vic Fangio, he's going to be a great defensive coordinator wherever he lands.
I think it was Barrett Townsend on the Friday show who was like, seeing what we saw from the Bears this year, is there a new avenue opened up for Mitchell Trubisky?
I don't think so. I know, like, I think his first year, Nagy still had some of the cute, like, Andy Reid plays, the Bieniemy, like, those type of plays, and, like, it worked, and the gimmicks worked, and then everyone caught on, and it wasn't, like, that creative. And I know, like, yeah, I'm sure Mitch can do great when he comes in garbage time and tear it up, but, like, he was, like, statistically the worst deep ball passer, like, ever. Like, it wasn't even close. It was like watching, like near my area, like, Chicago suburban high school football game of kids airing out deep balls. Like, it wasn't even, like, in, like, the same zip code. Like, I don't know. I think he's a great backup somewhere, but, like, you're not going to go far with him, and I'll take that to the grave.
I feel like with Justin, you know what I'm saying, he never really had a big chance this year either. He played in 12 games, right? And in those 12 games, he ranks 10th among all quarterbacks in sacks. Yeah. So, I mean, the line has never given him a chance to even become a quarterback, let alone, have the actual time to progress into a full-time, experienced quarterback. He's just getting attacked the entire time.
Completely agree. And, yeah, I mean, our offensive line was led by 39-year-old Jason Peters. Like, I don't know what people expected from him. And Darnell Mooney's a good receiver, but he's, like, a lower-end number 2 receiver. He's a tiny guy. Like, he's more
not,
of a
he's not really a 1.
No, and a 2 is, like, kind of generous.
And I was going to say, is he really a 2?
No. But we made him a 2.
You made him a 2. But, I mean, he's a good 3.
Yes, I completely agree. Right. That's perfect.
I mean, with what we've seen him do this year, with what they have, he has the more than the capabilities of being a very solid 2. If they can get a line in front of them and he has the opportunity to get open more, we can certainly see that he has the ability to catch the ball when it comes to him.
Right, yeah, he's a playmaker.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So he's exciting. I like him. I think that, like I said, if you guys can get a line, and if that's not the very first part of the focus for you guys this year in the offseason, I would be very, very surprised.
What do you guys have? Y'all have some cap room?
Kind of. We do and we don't. That's a good question, because Ryan Pace kind of prorated all the contracts, so a lot of the contracts are backlogged. So it's not that attractive of a position. It looks like we have more cap space than we do, and we don't. Also, I mean, like, this is the genius general manager who gave Mike Glennon $18 million.
Yeah, you were going over this a couple of weeks ago.
I can't believe, like, people wanted him promoted to president. I was like, what has he done? Like, are you kidding me? Like, you can't be that bad at the quarterback position over and over and, like, expect to get this promotion. Like,
but we got Khalil Mack though, man.
I know. And I was thinking of your question from last week watching the Bills game. I was like, all right, I want Daboll. Like, get him now.
Yeah, you like Daboll?
Yeah, I'm in. And I forgot he's a Saban disciple too.
Yeah.
Like, the Saban legacy. That, like, I mean, golly.
You got a few of those type
your cap space
floating
actually
around.
looks pretty decent coming into this year. You got $40 million, including the issues that you're talking about, with the $2 million rollover, put you guys right on the edge of the top 10 for cap space in the NFL. That's not too bad.
Done. Gotta get
so
the Colts.
you may have the ability to do something.
But are you comfortable with the ability, whoever they find somebody that can buy the groceries?
There's 2 guys. It's if we get the Colts assistant GM, Ed Dodds. He's done phenomenal. Like, that team would have been like Super Bowl caliber if Andrew Luck didn't retire from football. Like, they're so deep.
Gosh, you just you re-broke every Colts fan's heart that's listening
Greg.
right now. Yeah, anyone. I know if Dalton was listening, they hate it. They hate it anytime. Man, could you imagine how everyone would be so scared of the Colts, right? Shut up, Dave. I'm tired of hearing about that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was a prank when that happened.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
Sorry, Mom, if you're listening. Like, I was out in Chicago, and I woke up from having passed out during the day drinking on Saturday, and I thought all my friends were messing with me. I was like, no way. Like, I was kind of still coming out of my stupor, and and I was like, no way. Like, this is a joke. Someone's trolling me, and no, he just, like, quit football.
He just quit.
He lost that weight.
Which I wasn't
this
mad
past week, and maybe he's ready for a comeback.
Yeah. Like,
what do you think, Greg?
Like, just how we all had it, right? Like, RG3 and Andrew Luck on the field, on our bingo cards, right? Like, man.
All right, we got time for one more. Let's go basketball. Is Russ the root of the problem for the Lakers?
I don't know. I'm not. I mean, I appreciate LeBron's game, and obviously I'm biased to Jordan because I'm from Chicago. But man, like, I don't know if it's like kind of getting all your buddies to play with you or like, I don't know. He's got to be regretting like, I know he's been hurt for us and had COVID and stuff, but like losing a guy like Caruso who actually like makes that impact or that glue guy who sticks and like I like watching Carmelo. I'm probably in the minority of liking Russ. Like what he did to Rudy Gobert yesterday. Like Rudy Gobert shouldn't play basketball for a month after that. Like
You talking about the dunk?
Yeah.
If that was in Boston or maybe at Rutgers Park, he'd have to go sit down,
Yeah.
wait for the full rotation of players to play, and then he could come back on the court.
Is he like the? Also, sorry, this is off topic. Now I'm on a tangent. Is he like the most disrespected like big man in the league? Like I feel like
Gobert?
most NBA guys do not mess with him. I know he did like the COVID thing, like rubbing his hand on the mic, but like before that, like
Even
everyone
then.
kind of thinks he's like soft, like
Yeah.
because he always wants to be Defensive Player of the Year. He like cried when he didn't make the All-Star game, and it's like
I have a theory, but I'm not going to share it on air.
okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, but I would love to hear it after. But yeah, I don't know. I think Russ is kind of the problem. I mean, he's hit like, he's hit every angle of the backboard, not the net.
Kinda.
Like, but I'm a big Russ. I like how hard he goes. I mean, like,
yeah, I mean,
he just should never shoot a three. He should
I love
pass
his
more,
athleticism
slow it
and his
down.
capabilities, but what actually is produced with his game.
What is
insufficient
the
for
objective? What is the objective of basketball? Is to put the ball in the hoop.
No, that's
And
what
the
it
hoop
used
is
to be.
twice the size
Now
of
it's
the ball.
I
hold the
guess
ball
it
as long
shouldn't
as
be
you
that hard.
can.
But you're okay with that technical yesterday, though, right? Like, if you disrespect someone that badly, like Sean Kempum, you can say
Yeah.
whatever you want, right? Like,
Absolutely. I didn't have a problem with it,
I
but I
mean-
just don't understand how this guy ever. And I realized he was a walking triple double or whatever it was, but it's just. I mean, come on. How in the world does this guy still a Laker? How is he staying in the league?
yeah,
He cannot shoot the ball. He cannot shoot the ball.
he's kind of a cancer. Yeah, I mean,
It's
baller.
amazing. He's fast and he's unbelievably athletic, but
and
you got to be
jerseys
able to
suck.
score.
last
Those
week
jerseys
too, he
suck.
broke his streak of he had 481 straight games with a turnover recorded.
Hey, that's a good streak
He
to break,
slowed
right?
it down. He probably saw it on Twitter. He probably
he's making a turn.
because you know he looks himself up on Twitter. He probably saw it and he's like, all right, I'm gonna tone it down tonight.
Max, tell us what's going on Thursday at Rib Crib.
Ribs and rides, head on down.
What time?
Lots of muscle cars starting around 4:30. And shout out to my hometown hero, Jimmy Garoppolo. Get it done this weekend.
There we go. All right, big Max. All right, we'll have Max next Tuesday with us. Y'all get out to Rib Crib this Thursday for ribs and rides. And then don't forget Monday, you buy an adult entree, your kids get one free starting at 4:30 on Mondays.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The Dan Patrick Show, weekdays from 9 till 11.
The Dan Patrick Show. This set up perfectly for Dallas. You have a good offense. You have impact players on defense. You had home field advantage. And then you beat yourself. You do stupid things. You let the 49ers manhandle you for the first three quarters. You let Jimmy Garoppolo beat you.
9 to 11 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Are you thinking about buying or selling real estate in the Panama City area? Think Real Estate is your team of local experts who simply love living and working in Bay County and helping others make their dreams come true through the exchange of homes and properties. We strive to provide excellent customer service in residential, commercial, and investment sales, as well as property management by combining classic customer service with crazy fresh marketing. Visit our website, whenyouthink.com.
The original J. Michael's Restaurant on Thomas Drive, Panama City Beach, serving Bay County and visitors from the U.S., Canada, and around the world since 1976. A little Southern, a little Creole, and a lot of hospitality. Come enjoy J. Michael's seafood platter, red beans and rice, the best gumbo on the beach, and the world-famous spaghetti night on Wednesdays. 3210 Thomas Drive, J. Michael's Restaurant.
Let me tell you a story about Bill. Bill was a normal guy in his 50s. He had back surgery about 2 years ago. Bill was in a lot of pain. He dealt with his pain by taking the Percocets his doctor prescribed for him. Bill took more and more and more of them to help with the pain, until one day the prescriptions weren't enough to get rid of Bill's pain. Then one day Bill found someone to help him get rid of the pain with illegal drugs he didn't need a prescription for. Fast forward to today. Bill lost his job and his family. The only thing he does have is his drug dealer. If you know Bill's story and you don't want to end up like Bill, Call the Detox and Treatment Helpline right now to get away and get treatment.
800-360-0314. 800-360-0314. 800-360-0314. That's 800-360-0314.
Broadcasting from the Rib Crib Radio Room. You're riding shotgun with the Afternoon Underdogs. We're going to need some gas money. The Afternoon Underdogs.
Fill her up, please.
At 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into the Rib Crib Radio Room. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Boston Tim and Old School. The Grand Slam of Cash is right here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Pay your Christmas bills. Listen weekdays, 8:45 a.m. during the Coach James Hale Show and 4:45 p.m. during the Afternoon Underdogs. Listen for the code word at those times. Enter the code word at espnpc.com/contest or on the 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app. Still playing trivia, looking for a $25 digital gift card winner to one of 5 restaurants, 850-215-6290. It's a golf question. What are errant shots from players who don't yell "for" called? And I will pull up the multiple choice part of this question if we don't have an answer by 5 o'clock. So the second hour, we'll start it off with a multiple choice edition of Merchant Management Group Trivia. Let's go with some questions here for playoff teams. What kind of impact do you guys think Derrick Henry will have if he makes his anticipated return from injury on the 22nd of January? While wearing number 22, I might add. Pretty cool. Boston Tim, what do you think? What kind of an impact will we see from Derrick Henry if he plays this Sunday against the Bengals? And if he doesn't, second part of that question, will the Titans be able to win a ball game against the Bengals without Derrick Henry?
I absolutely think that they could win a game over the Bengals because the Bengals are probably the most streaky team left in the playoffs. We saw that throughout the entirety of the season, and of course we've discussed it multiple times on the show. So they absolutely could do it with or without Henry, but I think that it would a much easier game for them if they have Henry, right? We know that he averages just unbelievable amounts of touches. It was at one point, 30 touches a game or something like that, 30.4, record-breaking amount. I think it was 7 games into the season or whatever it was. He's just an unbelievable percentage of the team on the offense, and he's a full-time guy, and he's just really probably the most untouchable person in football. I always say that he just is that guy. So having him back is everything, right? So, but we'll see if that's going to happen or not.
What you got, Old School?
I think he's every bit going to be impactful. We saw it with Cam Akers. When you get somebody back there that is motivated, and there's never been a question about Derrick Henry's motivation. I think he's going to come out and he wants to have an impact. He wants to make a statement, and he's going to lay it all on the line. And I think that with Derrick Henry, the Titans are the Titans. Without Derrick Henry, the Titans are they're not scary. With Derrick Henry, they are quite scary to play.
All right, let's. I'm not going to answer that question because they're playing the Bengals this weekend, and so I'm just going to let it ride and see what happens. But without Derrick Henry, I'll answer that side. Could they win? Yeah, they've beaten the Rams. They've beaten. I can't remember if he was in the game against Buffalo, but Kansas City. They had a tough stretch of games there as soon as Derrick Henry went down because that final game was there against the Colts that he played, and then that stretch just got even tougher after that. Without him, could it happen because they went this long? Maybe. Now, if they had lost him week 16 or 17, I don't think so at all. And there's also a couple of injuries happening on the front for the Bengals defensively, so that's another thing to monitor. Let's go over to
You bring up Cam Akers a second ago, Old School, and you talk about his performance and how effective having him in the game is, right? And we saw his performance last night. It was 17 carries or 19 carries for 58 or 59 yards. Well, the lowest produced game that we got out of Derrick Henry was the first game of the season this year, 17 carries, 58 yards. And you only saw 2 other games where he was underneath 100 rushing yards in the 8 games that he played this year.
One of
And
those
in
was week 1, I believe,
that
right?
That was the game, yeah. 17 rushes for 58 yards. He had one for 62 and one for 85. Other than that, all of them over 113 yards, including 3 of those 8 games where he had 3 touchdown games.
So he had 10 touchdowns in 8 games played. That's
right.
insane.
And he only scored in 4 of those games because, again, 3 of those games were all 3 touchdown games. So that's the difference that he can make, 21 full points on a swing in one single game by having him on the field.
All right, let's go to the Kansas City Chiefs here. Got a question for the Chiefs, question for the Bills. Is the Chiefs' defense back?
I think they proclaimed that, after the first 6 or 7 weeks, that they it was really them just getting all of the new guys in tuned and together with the veterans. And really from week 7 on, they've produced relatively well. And at a stretch there for 4 or 5 games at 17 points or less, they did really well. And, they closed off the season the same way. Now, I wouldn't say necessarily that they're 100% back, but they're looking very productive and they're very solid. And the test is really going to come in this upcoming weekend, as we know they didn't really have one in the wild card weekend.
What you got, Old School?
Yeah, I was going to say, are they back? I don't know that they were ever really here in the first place.
Agreed.
I mean, it's not what they are known for. The Chiefs are not known because of their defense. They are known because of that $500 million guy.
Right. Where are the days of Sorenstein coming across and just destroying people?
Yeah,
and
they
things
don't.
like that.
They're not
It's
worried
just
about
the same.
It's not the same.
Good,
But at the same time, there is enough talent defensively there to create some havoc for offensive coordinators.
Yeah.
And so therefore, they have to play them honestly. They have to respect what they're doing defensively. And anytime you can do that, then you're in a better position. I think they're in a much better situation defensively this year than they were last year when they went into the playoffs.
See, I agree with you and I disagree with you. I agree with you on the point of they're not really known for their defense. It's really more known about Patrick Mahomes and his arm and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. But 2 years ago when they won the Super Bowl, very similar to LSU when they won the national championship, right? Where they started out, man, that offense is insane. And then Tyrann Mathieu and them start locking it down, and that defense started getting really good and was really the one of the X factors, maybe a dark horse in the Super Bowl win against the 49ers to be able to stop them and stop the attempt of a run game in the fourth quarter by Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers. But it started out really lousy this year, really lousy. And then ever since that loss to the Titans, they've kind of buckled it down or buckled up a little bit. So I can't say that the Chiefs is back to 2019 type defense, but they're better than what they started this year. So my answer to this question, no, the Chiefs defense is not back to what it needs to be, what it was in 2019.
Right. And I mean, we see that, like we said, after week 6, they were ranked 26th in all of defense in the NFL. And finishing off the season, they jumped up into the top 10 to 8. So they have progressively gotten up to a better position. But like we said, like you're saying, 2019, they were a top 5 team. They haven't made it back there, but they're more productive and they're looking good. They're in the direction they need to go to make it further into the playoffs for sure.
Man, we only got through 2 questions. We'll get back to them at 5:30. You're listening to the afternoon.
I want to get to the Bengals offense.
Do you want to wait till 5:30, or do you want to just make it a little less for a defend your stance?
Whatever you want to do. You're the boss.
Can the Bengals offense carry this team to an upset? Old School, the floor is yours.
No. I mean, I hate that for our good buddy LA. I mean, I hate it for him. I'm glad he got his victory, but I mean, Joe Burrow is only one guy. I mean, it just reminds me of the days when Houston Oilers, they had Dan Patrick. They had
Dan Patrick.
I mean, they had Dan Pastorini. That was his name, and he was a phenomenal quarterback. And then they had Earl Campbell, and that was it.
Right.
That was it. And so and then they would go up against the Steelers, and you would look down the Steelers lineup, and you're just star after star after star after star. And you're like, well, how do you expect the Oilers to compete? And that's where I feel with the Bengals. Joe Burrow's amazing. You know, his wide receiver is great. What a great story that's been. After that, there's a whole lot left to be carved out.
I think those are great points. What do you think of Boston, Tim?
I mean, I'd hate to disagree with you, but you're right. We're looking at one of the higher probabilities of win in the playoffs in this particular round at 66% with the Titans, which I think might even increase a little bit more if Henry comes back definitively. That you might see that jump up into the 72% range, which is just an unbelievable thing for that particular those two teams that you wouldn't expect it to be like that, but it's going to be. It just, like you said, outside of Chase really overly producing this year, which he continued to do into Super Wild Card Weekend, they're really not being overly productive anywhere else. Mixon hasn't done much the last 4 or 5 weeks. I thought it was going to be the difference maker in the game last week, and he really didn't produce at all. I think it was.
He kind of took his team backwards, and you gave the stat out ridiculous. Yesterday. It was like 40 yards, 42, I think.
And the bad part about it is when you're the Bengals and you've been in a situation where the Bengals have been for all these years, decades, where you just couldn't even win a playoff game. And then all you wanted to do it's going to end this year. We're going to get one this year. Well, they got one. Right? And now it's like, okay, good. We got what we wanted.
Yeah.
And now the reality is going to set in this weekend. And I hate that for Bengal fans. But reality is reality. And they're going up against a complete, particularly if Derrick Henry comes back, they're going up against a complete team.
Well, that's and to that point, Old School, I would say that because of the Bengals getting that kind of monkey off their back, their season, if you're a Bengals fan, their season
is the win.
Boom.
Yeah.
And they're really kind of the lone team in the playoffs. I know that we said that Buffalo Bills, and their fans are, beating Bill Belichick and the Patriots, not just beating, but just victimizing them.
All right.
It
was a decisive victory.
It was a
wasn't
decisive.
That big.
All right.
Everybody.
It was very decisive.
47-7. Anyways, but that's huge for Bills fans. But I think that Bengals fans, but the yearning is gonna just keep growing here. Old School, one of the biggest points, I think they are lining up to be, they've had some great flashes, right? Burrow, Chase, even Mixon has had great years, but the inexperience leads you to believe it'll be a Eagles-Bucks type game, Steelers-Chiefs type game, and then last night, Rams-Chiefs. And we still haven't even got Boston Tim's thoughts from the game last night. So let's take a quick break. We're going to get some thoughts from Boston Tim on the game, get in some defend your stances, and then take another quick break and be right into the 5 at 5.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Right now is your chance to win in the Grand Slam of Cash. Your code word is...
Jingle.
Enter the code word at ESPNPC.com or play on the ESPN Northwest Florida app. 2 ways to play this national contest.
And I just won $1,000.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
My weather forecast overnight, mostly clear, light winds from the southeast. Overnight temperature 43 to 49. Partly to mostly sunny, very close to 70 Wednesday, light south winds. A weather front coming in Thursday and Friday with a chance of showers, mostly cloudy, highs in the 60s, Thursday 50s on Friday. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, best little lumber yard in Panama City and Youngstown. For 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from Jin Jin Super King Buffet. Have you been to Jin Jin Super King Buffet? It's not your average Jin Jin. They're open 365 days per year, and you can enjoy their hibachi grill, fresh sushi, mouth-watering crab legs by order, and you're going to love their new Cajun selection. New choices are added often and always fresh. Bring the family out to Jin Jin Super King Buffet for your holiday dinner. Next to Wonderworks at 9802 Front Beach Road on Panama City Beach. Open regular hours on Christmas Even Day and New Year's Even Day.
Mid-South Lumber has new owners. Stop in and visit Ann and Dave. They're on site every day to make you a priority. They're not the typical big box store, and customer service is their #1 priority. Locally owned and operated for over 40 years. Transform your home with James Hardy Siding. Durability, fire resistant, sustainability. James Hardy Color Plus is virtually maintenance free and comes with a 30-year warranty. Mid-South Lumber, the biggest little lumber yard in Panama City.
Dr. Chad Mitchell, orthopedic surgeon specializing in sports medicine and joint replacement of the knee, shoulder, and hip. He serves our local athletes and our community. Southern Orthopedic Specialist has been the leader in orthopedic care for over 20 years. New patients are welcome. Call 850-769-KNEE to schedule an appointment. More about Dr. Mitchell and Southern Orthopedic Specialist is available on their website, southernorthopedic.com. Southern Orthopedic, getting you back in the game.
Damsel in Defense presents Defend Your Stance. Got an opinion? Time to defend it. It's the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Thank you guys for listening to the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Big shout out to Blab TV. If you're not in the Pensacola, Mobile, or Fort Walton area, you can tune into Blab TV at blabtv.com. Let's get into some Defend Your Stance questions. That is brought to you by Emerald Coast Damsel, independent damsel pro for Damsel in Defense. This coming weekend, they will be in Jacksonville, Florida, followed by Fort Walton and then Tallahassee. I pity the fool who doesn't use our tool. Which team in the NFL playoff Super Wild Card weekend had the best win?
I think it was the Bengals. I think they needed it. You know what I mean? It was the most productive game, and they came back. It was for me probably the best game. And then, like you said, it was their Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just getting into the playoffs, and even though it was a super wild card weekend, and just sneaking in and edging over, and just barely winning by a couple points, and almost going to a tie and getting me the big bag. This close.
Me and Tim wouldn't even be here right now.
No, for sure. We wouldn't be here. We would have been at the Patriots game. 100% freezing. But no, yeah, I mean, I think for them and their entire community, for the team, for everybody, I think that was probably the biggest win of the weekend.
Where are you feeling, Old School?
I agree. I think the only other one that can stand out to me would be the Rams because of Matthew Stafford.
Yep. John.
And John. But also because of McVay, what happened to him in the Super Bowl where they had this high-powered offense, all based around Todd Gurley, and Gurley gets hurt, and what happens to their offense? Poof, gone.
Oh, but it was all about golf.
Yeah. No. But then, the sort of the bloom was off the rose with McVay there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But he discovered that, guess what? If you run the ball really well, offense can still work.
I really love the Bengals answer, and I definitely have to agree that the Bengals and the Raiders were the best overall game. You had a close one with Dallas and 49ers, but as far as the product on the field, pretty close to the Raiders and the Bengals combined having less penalties accepted than what the Cowboys did, right? There was 14 in that Bengals and Raiders game, and I believe the Cowboys themselves had 14.
Absolutely.
So that's ugly. But for your reason, Old School, with the Matt Stafford thing, Joe Burrow's got the Bengals and Joe Burrow have plenty of more longevity in Burrow to get that long-awaited win, and good to not push it to 32 years, but they've got the ball rolling, so that's amazing. But the sandglass time was expiring for Matt Stafford to get the job done, so I think that it's just the best win for them, and they also proved dominance in that game, and maybe Eric Weddle's going to work out for him. On the flip side of that coin, who had the worst loss? Old School, you start this one off.
Who had the worst loss?
Yeah.
Dallas Cowboys.
I think it's going to be unanimous on that one, right?
It's pathetic. I mean, that's.
I'll still go with the Colts, man.
Well, the Colts didn't even get there. So I guess that would be the worst. But the Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys are America's team. Jerry Jones. They got this huge fancy stadium. They've got everything going for them. They got all this talent. They got C.D. Lamb. They got Dak. They got everything. They got everything.
I like that voice you were starting. They got C.D. Lamb. They've got.
They got it all, except they just can't play the game.
Mm.
And it's a sad state of affairs. It reminds me so much of the Cowboys right before Jerry bought them, where they just every year they would be, oh, this is going to be the year. This is going to be the year. Staubach is going to finally get it done again, and no, and then no, and then again the next year, oh yeah, it's going to be no.
And the Cowboys were the only home team to lose. Right? Bengals, Bills, Tampa Bay, Chiefs. So, yeah, that would be the only team.
But, the thing is that matchup between San Fran and the Cowboys, that was a bad matchup from the beginning for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And it's always been a bad matchup.
Same way for the Green Bay Packers.
Well, from behind, back in the Aikman and the Michael Irvin in those days. I mean, that San Francisco matchup between the Cowboys was always ugly.
Well, Aaron Rodgers hasn't beaten San Francisco in the playoffs. 0-3, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So that's also another thing to kind of watch. And the only team that hasn't played in the playoffs, or the only teams that haven't played each other in the regular season that are playing in the playoffs, is the Titans and the Bengals. You had the Packers and the 49ers play earlier in the year, maybe third week of the season, and the Packers got the best of them, but it was 30-28, and the 49ers have gotten a lot better since then. But guess what? The Packers have gotten a lot healthier since then. We've only got a minute here. Did you have something?
My worst loss?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Big Ben.
Oh,
Pittsburgh's loss of Big Ben is probably the biggest loss of the weekend. I think we can all easily say that the Dallas loss as a team, as a game, was the biggest loss. But I think Pittsburgh losing a storied franchise quarterback, I wouldn't necessarily covet him as a hero specifically or especially, not only in Pittsburgh but at all, in general as a person. But the accolades and what he's done for the city over the course of 17 seasons or whatever it was, you can't really take away from that. And so losing that over there in Pittsburgh in a franchise that's known for keeping their players, for keeping their quarterbacks, for keeping their coaches around, and being as dedicated to them as they hope they are dedicated to the city and the team, I think losing Big Ben is probably the biggest loss of the weekend.
That's a phenomenal take. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with the 5 at 5.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Mike Greenberg. Greeny.
Rex in studio at the Straight Talk. Who does Joe Burrow remind you of?
He reminds me of Tom Brady, and I mentioned that earlier in the season. I mentioned it, his mannerism, but his leadership, and in the biggest moments, this guy is the calmest, and he's got just a hired killer mentality, and that's what he reminds me of Tom Brady. And look, 10 years from now, we're going to say this guy's the next Joe Burrow.
Weekday afternoons from 2 till 4. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs, with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5, and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food, on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
What are you so happy about?
I'm on the pill.
Aren't you two a bit old to worry about having more kids?
Not her. Me.
You lost me there, buddy.
Steelman pills. Things weren't always looking up, if you catch my drift. So, my doctor prescribed me a little something.
Like Viagra?
Yeah, but that's expensive, and it wasn't covered by my insurance. Steelman pills cost me less than $3 a pill, and virtually the same effect. I just called and got over 40 pills for only $99.
I have this friend who might be looking.
Well, if your friend wants some help, the consultation is free over the phone. No clinic. Steelman Pill sends it in the mail in a confidential package.
I'm on it. I mean, my friend will be on it.
Steelman Pills. Going the extra mile to help men with erectile dysfunction.
800-764-9168. 800-764-9168. 800-764-9168. That's 800-764-9168.
The official radio station of Super Bowl 56. Powered by Pepsi. WGSX Nathan 104.3. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hi, this is Coach James Hale, here to tell you about the best car wash on the beach.
Blue Sky Express Car Wash. Number one, they're locally owned. You know Matt and his employees will do a great job. Number two, Blue Sky Car Wash recycles their water. Number three, they have the latest technology available. It does an incredible job on your vehicle. Blue Sky Express Car Wash on Back Beach Road is right near Home Depot. Tell them Coach Hill sent you.
Live from the Rib Crib studio. Hot takes, the latest trades, in-depth interviews.
That is my reaction.
We break it down for you right here.
Very big springboard for the rest of my career.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
That's the problem right there.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are live for the 5 at 5. You're listening to David Hayes, Boston Tim, and Old School, the Afternoon Underdogs. And Old School is absolutely right. Last night in my 5 at 5, I went 0-4-5. Dolphin Day. Oh, my goodness, man.
Tough night for Dave last night.
Now let's see if we can replicate it tonight. So obviously I had the Arizona. If you're listening to who won the game and who lost the game, and you're wondering who I picked, just listen for the L's. The Cardinals lost to the Rams 34-11. The over and under for that game was set at 49.5 points. They got up to 45, so they were under there. We had the Blues and the Predators. The Blues got the better of the Predators 5-3. Over of 6 goals there. The Penguins on the road against Vegas. Both of you guys picked this one great and pretty much nailed. You hit it. You got it. All right, you hit the nail on the head is what I was trying to say. Penguins won 5-3 on the road against the Golden Knights. The over-under set there was 6. They scored 8 goals. Then the Hawks. How about this by Boston Tim saying he had the Hawks at the house and he had the over as well of 231.5 points. The Hawks get the better of the Bucks, 121-114. And then the Lakers decided to win a game last night. The Lakers win 101-95 up against the Utah Jazz, and they were well under the over-under set of 230.5 points. Got some college basketball games tonight. Let's start with North Carolina at Miami. Miami at the house here is a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under is set at 153.5. Boston Tim, what do you think we'll see from this matchup?
I think it'll probably be a high-scoring matchup between these two squads whose defenses haven't necessarily been all that particularly good this year. You're probably looking at like an 80-75 game here, and I think that North Carolina will come away with the victory.
Old School.
Oh, man. It's just what has happened to North Carolina is all I want to know. I mean, they're just...
Roy's gone, isn't he?
Roy's gone.
Yep, Roy's gone.
But
Miami's
still,
number one
But
now.
they're still wearing the teal. They're still wearing that color.
The teal?
Well, not teal, whatever. Carolina
That's for me,
blue.
Dolphin Dave.
He's putting Tar Heel
Oh,
together.
okay. All right,
That's
yep.
what's going on. The Tar Heels are still wearing that.
They're still wearing the
baby
colors,
blue.
that baby blue. It's
Still
just,
got the Jordan symbol on the shorts.
Yeah, buddy.
but something's wrong there. You know what? I'm going to take Miami at home, just because they're at home. That's it.
What about the over-under of 153.5?
Well, as Tim said, defensively, these teams are not great. So I'll take the over.
All right, I'll root for the over too because I always like to root for a lot of points. But like Tim said yesterday, you're always winning with the under until they hit the over. And I'm also going to go with Miami. So that's bad news for either Hurricane fans or Old School. I don't know which one yet, but we'll find out tomorrow night. In fact, I felt like I was doing pretty good in college basketball. Well, we had no college basketball. That was the caveat.
So well.
There we go.
100%.
All right, in Tallahassee tonight. Man, what a good one. I know Gino is over there tonight for this game. Number 6, Duke. Heading into Tallahassee, FSU's a 5-point dog at the house. The over-under set at 145 points. Old School, what do you think we'll see from this contest?
Oh, where do I live, man? This is Florida State's time. I'm liking this. Duke. Coach Krzyzewski, is he coaching tonight, or is he not going to coach tonight?
I believe he's back.
Is he back?
Yeah, that was about
I know
a week
last
ago.
week he wasn't coaching. So, I'm going to take Florida State at home.
I'm stuck between this one because I would rather see Florida State win. But so if I had went 1-4 last night, I'd be going with Florida State tonight. However, I don't trust Miami to beat North Carolina, even though I picked them. I want to win. And who do you go with if you really want to win?
Go with Coach Giuseppe.
Coach K, exactly. So I'm going to go with Duke, and I will take the.
Are you taking the under? Or are you taking the over?
I'm thinking 70 to 77, which would be 147. So that would be the over.
That would be the over.
What are you going with? The over.
I'm taking the under.
Boston Tim.
All right. So what's interesting about these two games that we just started with, North Carolina, Miami, and then Duke and FSU, these are the top 4 teams in the ACC all playing against each other. So if you're like myself, you're an ACC fan, these are the games that you're going to be watching tonight. I won't be watching anything else but these two games.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited about it. Both of these two teams are on win streaks right now, the second and the fourth team, respectively, in the ACC. Duke, number 6 overall. Coming down here to Florida State to play in Tallahassee, getting 5 points. I think that's amazing. I'll always take Duke if they're getting any points, no matter where they're playing, whether it's in conference or not. So for me, of course, I'm going to stick with Coach K. I'm also going to take the over in this game.
So Duke and the over. All right, to the NBA hardwood we go. The Timberwolves at the Knicks is the better of the two contests tonight in the NBA. The Knicks are at the house. They're a 3-point underdog, and the over and under is set at 214. Boston Tim, what do you think we'll see from this one?
Like you said, it's the better of the two games, but really neither of the games are going to be exceptional tonight. These two teams are almost identical teams in their overall standings. They're 22 and 22 and 21 and 22 respectively for the Timberwolves. In any game like that, when the teams are relatively close, I always take the home team. So for me, I'm going to stick with the Knicks on this one, although I won't particularly be the person betting on it.
And you like the over or the under?
I like the over in this game.
Old school.
Well, the only time I would ever bet on the Knicks is when they're at home. So I will take the Knicks at home, and I will take the over.
All right. Well, then I'm going to do it a little different here. I'm going to take Minnesota
KAT
on the road. Yep. Karl Anthony Towns. And I'll take the under. It'll be a close game. Both teams will barely be over 100. So that should keep us under the 214 mark. Let's go to the NHL. The Hurricanes at the Bruins, where they are going to be putting number 22 up in the rafters tonight for Willie O'Ree, which if you don't know who that is, will catch you up to speed at 5:15 here. We'll have Andrew Weiss. I'm sure Boston Tim has a plethora of knowledge on Mr. Willie O'Ree, but he is the Jackie Robinson of the NHL, of hockey, the barrier breaker, just a hero for the game.
Right. Well, when I was a kid, and I'll tell you a quick story, I actually found interest in him for an entirely different reason. And when I was reading about him, that wasn't something that jumped out to me. You know, the color barrier breaking thing, we're talking it's almost 30 years ago when I was doing research on looking for another athlete that was blind in one eye because I had lost my eyesight in my left eye in a fishing accident. And it turned out that Willie was blind in his right eye for a very long time and actually hid it from everybody. He hid it from family members. He hid it from all the people in hockey. And when the Bruins brought him up from Canada, he didn't tell them.
Yep. And it happened 2 years before he made his debut.
Right.
And if they would have known,
right,
we're still, yeah.
Well, back then in the 50s, you couldn't play in the NHL if you were blind in one eye.
Right. That's what I'm saying. If they would have known, then
he would have never been the first person.
Exactly.
To break the color barrier.
How much longer would we be waiting? All of those kind of things. So yeah, that's just another one of those little pieces of the story, little details that's just like, wow, man, what a dude. And just all of the other players that he's helped along the ranks, and not just guys on the ice, but in executive levels as well. So Willie O'Ree, his number is going up tonight in the Bruins game. They'll be taking on they'll be hosting the Hurricanes. Boston is a -140 favorite, and the over/under is set at 5.5 goals. Boston Tim.
Well, it's exciting to have a hometown cross the bay matchup here. We're talking about the originally the New England Whalers, which became the Hartford Whalers, and now the Hurricanes. Unbelievable to have Boston be able to bring these boys back home and give them a nice big.
It's like Nick Saban's coaching tree.
Right, and it'll be Tuukka Rask's second game back. Of course, he won his first game decisively. We all love Tuukka, and as long as he's in the goal, obviously we'll take Boston. I'm also going to go with the under in this particular game, as I know that Tuukka is in the net.
Nice. What you got, old school?
Yeah, I'm taking the Bruins all the way, and I will take the under as well.
All right. I'm going to go with Boston and the over tonight. Really, so I can be a little different in the over and unders, or
5-1
just
Boston.
difference at
I
all.
see it.
But yeah, I like that. It's gonna, man, you can't lose this game tonight, Boston. Not that it really matters in the long run, but the only thing that sucks tonight about the celebration or whatever is that Willie's not going to be able to be there because of certain protocols and whatnot. So he'll be at his home in San Diego. But still, other than that, everything about this situation, this moment, is just absolutely cool. Let's go to this other Big 12 basketball game. Number 15, Iowa State, is on the road at Texas Tech, who's number 18 in the land. Texas Tech, an 8-point favorite, over under set at 128.5, which seems to me like there's going to be some defense played tonight. Old school, which team you like better here?
Guns up, baby.
TTU, do you like the over or the under of 128 points? 128.5. Over?
Wait.
The guys on the radio can't see all of your things that you're doing over here. Boston Tim.
I think you guys are going to be very surprised with the defense in this game. I think it'll be a very low-scoring matchup. I wouldn't even be surprised if it didn't break 100 total points. So in this game, I like to see Ohio State go into Texas, of course, and get the victory here. Iowa State, excuse me. Yeah, go into Texas Tech and get the victory on a very low-scoring game. Like I said, probably close to 100 points. We have the top 10. Number 10 and number 8 defenses in all of the nation right here in these two teams. So
yeah, so
great defenses.
I'm following up with that, and I'm going to take Iowa State in the under here. So we'll be rooting for totally different things across the board. What's that?
I'm taking the over, man.
Okay.
Texas Tech at home? Come on, man. There's just nothing. Texas Tech at home is like a different team. It's a completely different team. The way they play. You talk about run the floor. They will be out running tonight, and they will be scoring. So take the Texas Tech and the over all the way.
There we go. Brendan Rice, the son of Jerry Rice, is transferring from Colorado to play college football for Lincoln Riley and the USC Trojans. Man, is that a good move by Brendan Rice?
Well, yeah, why not?
I mean, it gives you a little bit more marketability,
he
more
was
exposure.
Colorado. I mean, he was
right.
Come on. I mean, he needed some way of being seen and noticed.
That's very true. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs. It's 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida in the Rib Crib Radio Room. We're going to take a short hiatus, and when we get back, we'll have Andrew Weiss on the line with us.
My weather forecast overnight, mostly clear, light winds from the southeast. Overnight temperature 43 to 49. Partly to mostly sunny, very close to 70 Wednesday, light south winds. A weather front coming in Thursday and Friday with a chance of showers, mostly cloudy, highs in the 60s, Thursday 50s on Friday. This weather forecast has been brought to you by All About Garage Doors, your garage door repair specialist. For 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
It's back. Keep listening for your chance to win $1,000 in the Grand Slam of cash. Listen for the code word weekday mornings at 8:45 during the Coach James Hale Show and at 4:45 with the Afternoon Underdogs. When you hear the code word, enter it at ESPNPC.com or on the 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app. There will be 2 $1,000 winners every week.
$1,000 in cash. Wow.
And the Grand Slam of cash.
Discover Kia in 2022 at Bill Burr Kia, your local community dealer. Let your New Year adventures begin in a new Kia. Stop by and test drive any of our all-wheel drive Kias and gear up for winter. Now offering 1.9% APR for up to 60 months on a new 2022 Kia K5, Seltos, Sorrentos, or Telluride. Bill Burr Kia is not only the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty, they're the home of the best customer experience anywhere. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKia.com. We make buying a car easy, and you'll enjoy the way we do business.
Offer from KMF for the purchase of a new 2022 K5, Seltos, Sorrento, or Telluride with $17.48 per 1,000 financed in 60 months. Quantities limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Burr Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 1/31/22.
Hi folks, it's Tracy with Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Did you know that we have a master jeweler right here in the store? That's right, he has over 30 years experience in the art of repairing jewelry. Most repairs are done within 2 business days, so don't send your jewelry off for 6 weeks. Bring it to us at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. We size rings and solder chains. We can reset your diamond into new settings and even custom design. You'll get your jewelry back quickly and looking as good as new. Tracy's Fine Jewelry, Bay County's trusted jeweler for over 45 years.
Live from the Rib Crib studio. They said it couldn't be done. The Afternoon Underdogs are live.
They say it can't be done.
Are we going to do what they say can't be done?
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are live in the Rib Crib Radio Room. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes, along with Old School and Boston Tim. And we are here in the beautiful Rib Crib Radio Room. We've got Andrew Weiss on the line with us, who is a content creator. And if you haven't signed it or gotten onto his email weekly newsletter that comes into your email inbox on Mondays, then you're missing out on a good time, and we will tell you how to sign up for that at the end of this here interview. Andrew, what's going on, brother?
How you guys doing?
Hey, man, we are doing pretty good. Excited for the Lightning Kings game tonight and the Hurricanes Bruins game for raising number 22 up into the rafters in honor of Willie O'Ree. Andrew, what does Mr. O'Ree mean to the sport of hockey?
Well, Willie O'Ree, I mean, it's not the most commonly known name outside the hockey circles, but inside hockey, I mean, that's a guy that, especially the last few years, has gotten the recognition that he deserves. You know, he's often referred to as the Jackie Robinson of ice hockey. You know, he broke the color barrier in the National Hockey League. You know, it's a guy that, you know, there's been many steps forward for hockey, and there's still a sport that needs to learn a few things and still needs to grow in a lot of areas. And it's been a process, to say the least. But seeing Willie O'Ree, having his number hung up there, having kids go to TD Garden, the Boston Garden, as I learned last week is how I need to call it.
Thank you, sir.
You know, having that number up in the rafters and having kids ask, you know, who is that? Why is that number up there? You know, just more opportunities to share his story and show that, you know, there is room for everyone in this great sport. And you know, I think that's a really good step. It's an overdue step, but it's a good step here in 2022, finally retiring his jersey number, the man who broke the color barrier in the NHL.
And what a coincidence maybe that it is the number 22, so that will forever live in at least some type of people's minds. You know, the number 22, the year 22. It's very easy to compare Willie O'Ree to Jackie Robinson with breaking the color barrier, and as they do in Major League Baseball, the players all wear number 42, Jackie Robinson's number, all on the same day. Do you think that the NHL could get to a point where all players would wear 22 on the same day?
I'm curious to see if that would ever happen. Hockey, just in general, not because of the implications of what Willie O'Ree did, which obviously were incredibly massive and a positive thing for the sport. But hockey's always been such a weird sport with jersey numbers. I'd say it's more likely you'll see helmet stickers and something like that more commonly. I believe the Bruins are wearing the helmet stickers tonight. I'm not sure if it's all across the NHL. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I take that back. I did see that. It is all across the NHL tonight that every team playing will be wearing a helmet sticker with the number 22 on it for Willie O'Ree. So I know that for sure will be something. It would be nice to see, you know, maybe the 22s in at least pregame warm-ups for something like that, just to show some kind of indication, show the significance of this man and what he's done for the sport. You know, we see pregame, you know, the pregame warm-up special jerseys all the time. I know here in Tampa, my Lightning will be wearing the Gasparilla themed jerseys here in a week or two that look beautiful. Like, it's not without precedent to have a pregame jersey shown for something that means, you know, something greater than the game. So seeing something for Willie O'Ree, that I could see down the line. The only reason I don't think I could see it in a game is just because hockey's so fast-paced. You know, it's very different than baseball, not in a negative way, just a different way that having all the same number might be a challenge logistically. But I'd like to see, you know, you have the helmet stickers tonight. I'd like to see a day maybe every year where they do helmet stickers, maybe pregame jerseys, just something where they can maybe educate their fan bases about who Willie O'Ree was, what he did. There's a documentary about him. Maybe showcase the documentary and or throw it all over their social media so people can get an idea of who Willie O'Ree was and what he did for the sport.
Right, because if you don't actually go down to the Boston Garden and go to the New England Sports Museum that they have there at the Boston Garden, then you might not actually see the whole section that they have set up for Willie there. And it just, it kind of shows a small portion of his life that was really just so exceptional. And Andrew, I love the sport and everything that he's done with the sport, but, there's an interesting correlation to the pertinent historical time in American history, really, that was highlighted by Willie's bravery, but not just his, but, his family's as well. And that his his grandparents came up through the Underground Railroad. And so really he's always grown up around bravery and doing things that aren't necessarily what was supposed to be going on at the time. Growing up in Fredericton, he was only one of only two families that were African American, and one of the only kids anywhere in his league that was black playing hockey. But could you just expound a little bit more about how he grew up and how brave he was?
Yeah, I mean, the first story I can think of for Willie O'Ree that always just stuck with me was more so about the hockey side of it than anything else, right? And obviously there's so much more to the Willie O'Ree story, but the first thing you ask, whether it's Willie O'Ree, whether it's anyone in today's NHL that showcases the diversity of the sport, the women playing the sport, whatever it is, they want to be treated as hockey players first. They don't want to be picked out for anything that's different, anything that separates them from what your typical stereotypical hockey player might look like. You want to have that hockey story to go along with the fact that obviously the most important thing that comes from it is the fact that he broke the color barrier, the fact that he's done this brave act that put up with so many vulgar chants and slurs, all these things that terrible occurrences happened to him. But again, my favorite story, I want to share that, was the fact that you mentioned brave. How about a hockey player being a hockey player? Got hit in the eye. I believe it was the right eye with a puck right before he went to the NHL, and it would have stopped him from going to the NHL. If the Bruins had known that he ended up being blind in that right eye, if he had known that he had issues in that right eye, they never would have called him up. But he never told anyone about it, so they still called him up. So there's that hockey player for you. It's not just, hey, here's someone who was part of the game, and here's a quick little story. I mean, he's got the hockey in him. He's still a hockey player. It's not just the grandstanding story that people want to share of oh, here's a thing, and then you toss him back in the closet for the story next year. Like, he's a hockey player through and through.
Absolutely.
The man put up, he had goal scoring titles in the WHL. He has that hockey sense of, I'm going to be tough. It's not just mentally. I mean, you had to be mentally tough to put up with the things he did. I can never imagine the things that he had to put up with to be able to play in the NHL in that time, having racist, names and slurs yelled at you. But even the physicality, he was tough. He was, it wasn't just the eye. It was, just the general sense of the sport itself. But, like you mentioned, it's a huge impact on hockey. There was, for years after that, there still were no other black hockey players in the NHL. And even today, there's always room to grow. But it's great seeing it grow, not just in the NHL. We see it in the women's side of the sport. Saroya Tinker is a defender for the Toronto Six. When I worked at Yale Women's Hockey, she was there. She's an incredible hockey player, and she's someone that shows young black girls they can play hockey. There are players in the NHL right now that can show young black men that they can play hockey. It's seeing this sport grow is a big thing for me. I know we talked about it a little bit last week. I'm from the South. We don't grow up on skates. It's not a thing. So getting this sport to grow is a very big deal to me, and that means for everyone. That means if you're a man or a woman, whatever color your skin, whatever background you come from, whatever that is, none of that matters. You want to play hockey, come play hockey. You are one of us always as soon as you get on the ice. Doesn't matter what your background, doesn't matter, whatever separates us in these other areas, we're all hockey players. So I think that's a really big step that's been taken through the people that have broken those color barriers, whether it's Jackie Robinson, Willie O'Ree. These are people that make a huge difference in the impact of the sport.
Yeah, I told the story earlier how I found a relation with him in that I lost my eyesight in a sports incident in my left eye. And so in researching who other athletes were that, performed at the professional level with one eye, he was one of the first people that I read about. And I always thought that, the pinnacle about what I read about him had nothing to do with his race, but that he was just, through and through, he was really just a Canadian. His father was a civil engineer, and they were just hardworking family. And, he worked for the road industry, and every single year, starting at 3 years old, his dad would build him an ice hockey rink in their backyard. And so from 3 years old on until he became a manager at 15 years old, he was playing hockey every single day it was possible for him to play there in Fredericton. And that's just what Canadians do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to say it extends down here to the States as well, but you're not wrong. I've played with some great Canadian hockey players. I've played with hockey players from all over, and it's that fortitude, both mentally and physically, is something that is a proud trait. And obviously, Willie O'Ree had to do a little bit more than everyone else, and hopefully we are progressing and continue to progress to a point where that's no longer needs to be the case for anyone of different backgrounds or varying backgrounds in the sport.
So your boy Nathan Smith, talking about hockey in the South, he's made it onto Team USA, representing not only his country but the state of Florida as well. What kind of a tournament do you expect to see from him? How many minutes do you think he's going to play? Is he going to be a leader on Team USA?
I'll preface this by saying this is to a significantly lesser extent, but we were just talking about barriers and representation, seeing how that matters. Again, to a severely lesser extent than Willie O'Ree breaking the color barrier for the entire NHL. But as a Floridian, seeing a Floridian on the U.S. Olympic team playing hockey, a sport that's not overly common here for a long time, again, representation of a different kind, again, severely lesser impact, but still important to us. It matters. Seeing a Floridian on that team, how many kids are going to tune into the Olympics, which, let's be honest, is usually the biggest stage for hockey, is the Olympics. How many kids here in Florida are going to tune in and say, "Oh, that kid's from Florida? We can do that. We can play hockey like those kids from Minnesota and Massachusetts and Canada." That means a lot to me to be able to see that. Now, so for Nate Smith, obviously, he's got a lot of people here in Tampa and in Florida that are going to be cheering him on. That's for damn sure. But it's interesting to me, that roster and that lineup. There's so many moving parts for ice time. I've seen him projected to be an extra forward. I've seen him projected to be a middle six forward. I've seen him projected to get power play time. It could be anywhere from a guy that ends up being one of the top few scorers on the team to someone that barely plays. This team is a lot of college kids, most of them coming with high draft pedigree. He was obviously drafted. He was third-round draft pick of the Winnipeg Jets a few years ago, so it's not like he doesn't have that pedigree as well. But it's a lot of those young kids, high first-round picks, and then some solid veterans that are playing overseas right now, guys like Kenny Agostino, that are going to be in that lineup. So it's going to be interesting to see where the coaching staff eventually feels comfortable putting him in, and we're all hopeful to see him get some good ice time, score a big goal or two, and have his name known here in the States as more than just a guy from Florida.
You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the phone with Andrew Weiss. Andrew, you shared a stat from Sportsnet on your Weiss Hockey Talk newsletter on Monday. By the way, if you haven't got signed up for that, you need to, because it's very entertaining and it's a great informational newsletter as well. But you said, you used the stat from Sportsnet that teams use 98 goalies during the entire original six era. Now, Boston Tim is huge on who is going to be between the pipes when it comes to making his picks for games. We've had 100 be used in this season alone. Why do you think that's trending like that?
Yeah, that's still the craziest stat I've seen in a long time. Just popped up on my feed, and I took a look at it and did a another little deep dive into the research just to double check. And yeah, 98 people appeared as a goalie during the entire original six era. Now, obviously, there's only 6 teams, so it's a little bit different. But here this year, 100 goalies. Part of that is the fact there's a lot more teams. There's now 32 teams, so you do that quick math. Obviously, it's going to be an increase in goaltenders. It's also a different era where you're not going to have a starting goalie play every minute of every game. Your backups are going to come in theoretically by that math. 32 teams, each team with 2 goalies. There's 64 goalies already. But then you add on to that with really mostly from COVID, the pandemic, goalies going to COVID protocol. The Lightning got hit with that back in late December. They lost both their starting goalie, Andrei Vasilevsky, their backup goalie, Brian Elliott, and they brought up some kids from the minors to go out there and try to steal a few games. And they had one win and then some blowout losses that weren't as pretty. So, that showcases how tough that was. But it's, a bunch of goalies who are getting their opportunities because of, COVID and injuries and so many things that have popped up this year that have prevented a lot of these goalies from playing heavy minutes and opening up ice time for kids to slide up to the NHL and get an opportunity to showcase what they can do, maybe sneak their way onto a roster just from solid goaltending in their spot starts.
One more question before we let you get out of here. What do you expect from the Kings-Bolts game tonight at 9:30 Central Time, 10:30 Eastern Time?
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. Lightning and Kings here tonight. It's at 10:30, which means you got to get the coffee pouring. Probably about 10 o'clock if you want to stay up late and watch all of that. Kings have been an interesting team this year. The last few years have been tough for a team that won 2 Stanley Cups this past decade. But they're starting to get that mix of solid veterans and young guns coming in. You're seeing guys like Anze Kopitar, Drew Doughty, Jonathan Quick, still veterans having bounce-back years. But they're mixing in well with some of these young guys that are really stepping up. Adrian Kempe has been good for the Kings. He's out tonight, I believe, in COVID protocol, so that's a big loss for them. But the thing to watch for me, because I could list stats and news and all that stuff all the time. I like to look at the little things you don't really pay attention to unless you're watching the games, little fun things. There's a pretty decent rivalry going on right now between Andrei Vasilevsky, the goalie for the Lightning, and Anze Kopitar, who's the captain for the Kings. A few years ago, Vasilevsky made one of the most trademark saves of his entire career, going behind the back with his glove to rob Kopitar. It was viral, one of the top saves probably the last decade. You don't see anything like it. It's just an absurd save. After the game, Kopitar said something along the lines, I'm paraphrasing, of that Vasilevsky got lucky. And ever since then, Vasilevsky, every time he makes a save on Kopitar, you can see it. The Kings-Lightning game back in Tampa a month or two ago, Kopitar had a breakaway in overtime and a chance to win it. Vasilevsky stopped him and then stared down Kopitar for the next 5 to 6 seconds. A full glare. I got that picture on my phone somewhere. It's hilarious. But that's what I'm looking for, is a Kopitar and Vasilevsky rivalry. Seeing if that continues here tonight, if there's any more stare downs.
Good stuff as always. You can follow Andrew on Twitter at Weiss Hockey Talk. That's WEISS Hockey Talk. And if you'd like to sign up for his Monday newsletter, Andrew, tell him how to do that.
Yeah, if you go to that Twitter profile that you just mentioned, in the profile there is a link. It says sign up for my newsletter right here. It's completely free. Would love to have more people tuning in. It's mostly fun. There is some information in there to keep you aware. The best way I can describe it, you guys don't have time to pay attention to hockey all week long. That's what I'm here for. I give you all the important stuff and all the fun stuff that you would love to see, but you don't have time to keep tabs on. That's what I'm here for. I do it for you.
Andrew, thanks so much. Look forward to next Monday's newsletter and then talking to you Wednesday next week.
Sounds good. I'll see you guys then. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. He does such a great job of keeping us up to date with what's going on in the National Hockey League. When we get back, we've got some more questions pertaining to the playoffs from teams that have advanced and teams that have been eliminated. Stick with us right here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes, along with Boston Seminole School. We're the Afternoon Underdogs.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Somebody calls in and wants to know about their team, and I can't get mad because that's what we care about here. This is a sports show, and I'm balancing it because I know people want escapes. They have to have them from what's up and down the dial, and I hope we can provide a little bit of everything here. But yeah, it's perfectly normal to want to talk about college football.
The leader in sports radio is 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hello, Rick Vossen with Stormore Portable Buildings, located at Panama City Mall on Highway 231 side. If you're shopping for a portable building, whether it be a portable building for storage, whether it be for office space, a garage, or a cabin out on the lake, Stormore's got pretty much anything you could use, from an 8 to 16 foot wide, from 12 feet long to 60 feet long. That's Stormore Portable Buildings, Panama City Mall, Highway 231.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likos with another Car Clinic Minute. Hear ye, hear ye. Gas prices continue to soar. Well, perk up your ears, because when I come back, I'll tell you about a fuel that can be found in a field of dreams.
The Car Clinic Minute.
It's Bobby Likos Car Clinic, brought to you locally by Hewitt Tire and Auto.
Call 850-769-7323.
Your certified AAA service center and hometown towing.
Visit them online at HewittTire.com.
On Airport Road in Panama City.
That's 850-769-7323. Hewitt Tire and Auto Center and hometown towing.
Friends, farmers, countrymen, lend me your ears. Ears of corn, that is. E85 is a 105-octane blend of 15% petroleum and 85% ethanol derived from corn and can be used in late-model cars, trucks, SUVs, and minivans designed as flexible fuel vehicles, or FFVs. Praised for burning this greener, renewable fuel, more than 4 million FFVs fuel up with E85 today. Though they're dead ringers in looks and cost for gasoline-only vehicles, they earned the name flexible because they can use any combination of gasoline and or E85. There's nothing corny about this alternative power source, so look for a decal under the fuel door to see if your vehicle can use it. I'm Bobby Likos. Like us, you'll love us.
When you want a big-time sports show, tune in for the Afternoon Underdogs.
I'm going to send you up against the best.
Weekdays from 4 till 6.
Negative, Ghost Rider.
Broadcasting from the Rib Crib Radio Room.
The need for speed.
On 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into the Rib Crib Radio Room. We're the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes. We've got Boston Tim, old school, bad back Boston Tim in the building right now. And
tripping over this flooring over here, if that's what you want to call it. Damn trip hazard in this place, Randy.
It's a trip hazard.
Offered to fix it in July.
July? You don't tell the truth. All right, let's go. Oh, let's go to the NFC here. Is this the year when Aaron Rodgers, who is 0-3 against the 49ers, finally beats them in the postseason? Or will the 49ers get the better of the Packers? Old school, what are you thinking?
Oh, man. That's hard to believe that Aaron Rodgers has struggled with anybody.
In the playoffs?
I mean, it's just, he's just, he just doesn't normally struggle with anybody. I mean, he may lose one here or there, but as a whole, not a consistent basis. I think this is just a different year, though. I think he's just on a mission to
get out of Green Bay.
Get out of Green Bay.
Get out of Green Bay with a championship. Yeah. He's 6-6 in his lifetime against the San Francisco 49ers. 0-3 when it comes to the playoffs. Yeah. If they beat the 49ers in this game, well, obviously the 49ers are dealing with some injuries as well. But I feel like if they beat him, it's going to come down to Green Bay's defense. I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers isn't going to have a good game. Even in games that the Packers lose, sometimes you really can't put the blame necessarily on Aaron Rodgers outside of that first game of the year against the Saints where he threw, I think, 2 interceptions in that game. And then for the rest of the year on threw, 2 interceptions, so 4 interceptions total out of 17 games, 16 that he actually played, I believe, or maybe it was 15. I believe 16, though. I think it's really going to come down to big plays from Zadarius Smith. And another thing, Aaron Rodgers is going to be more protected in this game, I think, than he's been all year with David Bakhtiari back in a full capacity.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would be, statistically and historically, you'd say it. Obviously, there's a good chance that it's going to happen. But I think this will probably be one of the games that's got a little bit more separation in it. San Francisco's defense has been playing very well, but not throughout the entirety of the season. Really, just the last 4 or 5 weeks. They're still they're middle of the lane right now. They're bottom 15. I think they're 17th in defensive ranking. So unless they have an exceptional game, it would have to certainly be better than how they played against Dallas. I just don't think that they're going to have the same opportunity to come away with a victory that they did this past weekend.
Caveman Rick with another good stat over here. Jimmy G hasn't won a game below 41 degrees. So that, it's going to be lower than 41 degrees. More than likely in Green Bay. I know that this Friday or Saturday is supposed to be like 30-something here in Panama City. I think I seen the high was like 40-something degrees. Oh, man.
31 is what I remember.
That was the high?
No.
Oh. Well, see, I could deal with the low, maybe a 31, if it only hits it a couple of times and then bounces right back up. And it's a lot different when we've got the sun shining.
Sorry, the 49ers actually finished off 9th overall. I apologize. So their defense is looking pretty good.
And then, Bosa's in concussion protocol, right?
He was last I saw.
Yeah, so that's going to be that's going to be one of the ones that we're monitoring all the way up till game time. But here on the show, Friday, I'll be looking while we're doing the show on Friday on updates to see if we're going to get Bosa in the game or not. It was big for them to have Trent Williams back in that game, regardless if Jimmy G waited for him to get set and give hope to those Cowboy fans. But I think this should be the year Aaron Rodgers. It would be nice for him to ride off into the sunset, and I mean that not in a retirement way, but if this is going to be his last year with the Packers, why not go out with a championship? And then it kind of feels like you're leaving with no stone left unturned. But who knows what'll happen here in the playoffs? Will the Bucs, speaking of a team with injuries, will the Bucs injuries on offense catch up with them? And this is a big game for them to catch up with them. What are you thinking here, old school?
Yeah, I mean, anytime, one of the reasons why the Bucs last year, went through the playoffs as easily as they did is, their offensive line was intact through the whole season. And they were comfortable, and Tom could just stand back there and read the defenses and never really move off of his spot. In this case, that's not going to be the case at this point. It appears, though, that they're going to have issues from an offensive line standpoint. We even saw, one particular play where the guy was out for one play, and they had to rush him back out there after Tom got destroyed and sacked. So I think this one is going to be a very physical game for Tom. I think he's going to get hit a lot. And he's going to have to be able to move off of his spot enough within the pocket. He doesn't have to be mobile and running around, but he's just got to be able to move around in the pocket to get some throws away to be effective.
Yeah, and I think on the other side of the ball too, they need hopes for Shaq to come back or one of the other. I think there's 4 guys out. I know Shaq's out and Jason Pierre-Paul's out definitively. If we can get somebody back. Their defense didn't look, they looked okay, but they didn't look great against Philadelphia. They should have really, shut them out.
Yeah.
Kept them to 3 points, something like that. But, they gave up a couple to them, and they didn't look great, not playoff ready.
Yeah. If Tristan Wirfs is healthy, we're talking about a guy that over the last 2 regular seasons has played every single snap, and he was a rookie last year. So that means in his 2 first full seasons, he played every snap. That's very impressive, and it sings high praise to a guy who's blocking for Tom Brady, who could, if you're not doing your job, we'll find someone else to do it for you. And they might have a big name behind themselves. Who knows? The LeBron of the NFL, except for his teams actually come away with championships. And the franchise is fine after he leaves. Anyways, oh man, I think that it could catch up to him without Tristan Wirfs. And you're still like really good on Keyshawn Vaughn, right? But you're possibly going to be without Ronald Jones and maybe Leonard Fournette for another game. I don't know, but we'll see how those injuries all play out. If Wirfs doesn't come back, though, yes, the answer to this question, yeah, it's going to catch up with him because we saw what that kid who came in for, I think it was Jonah Wells, not Josh Allen. Jonah Wells, I think, is what it was. If he's trying to block for Tom Brady, and you're going to have, Von Miller over there possibly, or just, screw it. Throw Aaron Donald to the outside, and they're going to have a lot of meetings in that game, and that's not good for a 44-year-old man who doesn't look 44 years old, but sometimes when he hits the ground, you're like, that's a 44-year-old man. Let's get to one more here. Can the 49ers trust Jimmy Garoppolo in the clutch?
I mean, I don't think so, right? You know, he's shown time and time again that he can't perform in the clutch, and like on top of that, like Caveman so graciously sent in an awesome stat that he hasn't won in any cold temperature games, right?
Mhm.
So not only is he not performing in big games, but then he has the cold against him as well. I think it's highly unlikely that he performs well. And like I said earlier, I think this is probably going to be one of the games that has more separation in it.
Yeah, I like that too. And you know, the 49ers are a team that really they get going with the run game, get big gains from Elijah Mitchell. Even though Deebo Samuel's a wide receiver, they utilize him in the run game a whole lot. So there's going to have to be a lot of trickery done by Kyle Shanahan. But here's my problem. You get into the fourth quarter with a lead, and like I was harping all over yesterday, you're going to have Kyle Shanahan calling some bonehead play that makes Jimmy G look worse than he really is because he's passing in a time where they shouldn't be passing. So that's what I'm worried about more than anything. I think that Jimmy G could be, you know, the X factor here, but if it comes down to clutch situations, say we get down to fourth quarter, 4 minutes, and the 49ers need a touchdown to tie or 6 points to tie, no, give me the Packers defense. I can't trust Jimmy G in the clutchest of clutch moments. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. When we get back, we've got some scores from the local high school sports as well as some questions for teams that have been eliminated from the NFL playoffs. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
My weather forecast overnight, mostly clear, light winds from the southeast. Overnight temperature 43 to 49. Partly to mostly sunny, very close to 70 Wednesday, light south winds. A weather front coming in Thursday and Friday with a chance of showers, mostly cloudy, highs in the 60s, Thursday 50s on Friday. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, best little lumber yard in Panama City and Youngstown. For 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
ESPN Northwest Florida. War Eagle.
Auburn basketball returns to the Auburn Sports Network.
KD, 17-footer, banked it in! Watson, dunk! It's the jam!
Wednesday, Auburn returns home to battle the Georgia Bulldogs.
Kessler with a two-hand stop, but Cardwell slams it home. Long three, KD, good!
Coverage begins at 7:30 Central on your home for the Auburn Sports Network.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
As a realtor, it's important who you choose as your title company. May we suggest South Oak Title? Their offices are modern, comfortable, and state-of-the-art. South Oak Title can close transactions in any location in Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. Their free mobile app allows realtors to deliver a net sheet in seconds. They provide mobile closing services to accommodate buyers and sellers. Their offices are beautifully decorated, state-of-the-art, complete, safe, and secure. South Oak Title, creating a better title and closing experience through technology and tailored service. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
Offered Tire and Service Center on Tyndall Parkway in Callaway is your authorized Goodyear and Michelin dealer.
Did you know that brake fluid absorbs moisture over time? Moisture contamination can lower your fluid's boiling point, leading to overheating and poor braking performance. Offered Tire and Service Center. We recommend having your brake fluid flushed every 2 years.
Offered Tire and Service Center on Tyndall Parkway in Callaway. Locally owned for the past 35 years and worth the drive from anywhere.
For the best donuts in the area, the locals will tell you, Dandy Donuts and Deli. The donuts are amazing, but the breakfast and lunch choices are super. Cheese grits for breakfast are a tradition at Dandy Donuts and Deli. Try the spicy chicken for lunch. So, for classic donuts, biscuits, burgers, and the best apple fritters in the area, it's Dandy Donuts and Deli. Same location since 1985. 1147 Harrison Avenue, across from Bay High School.
Now back to the most dangerous afternoon show on terrestrial radio.
Danger's my middle name.
It's illegal in 5 states. The Afternoon Underdogs, inside the Rib Crib Radio Room. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This sounds fantastic.
Donuts and sausage for dinner. I was just telling the guys about the spread that my buddy Derek Page put together this last weekend. We were watching the Raiders and Bengals game and then a little bit of the Patriots and Bills game over at his house. He got a new smoker that his girlfriend got him for his fiance, rather, let me fix that, got him for Christmas. And he cooked up 2 Boston pork butts. He had some sausages, and then our friend Brooke came in the house with 2 boxes of Dandy Donuts. So we were having, like, you know how people have dinner for or breakfast for dinner, but it was donuts and sausage, man. I ain't never had it like that. We had some mac and cheese, man. Great stuff. Appreciate that. Now let's get in some. Let's go over the scores for our local athletes, and make sure if you're ever seeing any type of event going on, stop by, man. Check them out. We've got some great local athletes here in our area. And JUCO basketball on the women's side of thing, Gulf Coast takes down Chipola last night, 76-67. On the men's side in JUCO basketball, Gulf Coast takes down Chipola, 79-74. Old School, you want to take those high school basketball for boys scores?
Yeah, absolutely. High school basketball boys, Bozeman takes down Freeport 66-64. North Bay Haven and Bay match up, and Bay comes out ahead 71-65. Laurel Hill and Jay match up. Jay comes away with the victory 62-31. And girls high school girls basketball, we've got Bozeman had tough game against Freeport. Freeport wins 56-21. Geneva and Paxton match up. Paxton gets the victory 56-24. Niceville and Choctaw. Choctaw gets the victory there, 53-39.
Boston Tim, you want to take the high school soccer scores?
Absolutely. Seems like some of those girls' basketball games are a little lopsided.
Yeah,
huh?
man.
But how about the boys' high school soccer here in Bay County? We had Mariana hosting Franklin. They beat them 3-1. And then the girls' side of the high school soccer in Bay County, we had North Bay Haven hosting Fort Walton with the 5-0 shutout.
Dude, North Bay Haven and the Athletics.
Yeah.
Been looking great these last couple of years, haven't they?
Yeah, they really have. And then David Mercado, I've been, keeping up with him. The dude is just becoming a beast. I think he's a 10th grader now, right? Wrestling in the 195-pound division. He's just a stud, man. Just look out for him if he's not already professional doing something else, like doing jiu-jitsu or something like that. He'll be at a beat down at the beach in a few years, because I don't think you can fight at 10th grade.
You can start fighting at, really at any age.
Yeah, because y'all have the little kids doing the grappling and stuff, too.
Amateur levels, depending on what you're looking to do, can start at any age.
Hey, you know what? Instead of getting into some other questions, we had the saltwater submission and go ahead.
Well,
Just take it away.
A couple more Bay County scores real quick. We had 2 shutouts. Mariana hosting Franklin. They won 8-0 over Franklin. Mosley went over to Fort Walton Beach, and they shut them out 4-0. Then you had Arnold with a big day, 10 goals over Rocky Bayou, who only had 2.
It doesn't stop.
The Saltwater Submission Series was this past weekend. It was the very first one ever. So Saltwater Submission Series 1, and it was a big event. We were very happy to host it at Lake Town Wharf. Again, Saturday. It was started at 6 o'clock. Actually, almost started on time. Very rare for the events that happen to go on over there that I host. So it was nice to get that started on time. We had 22 fights, 9 grappling and or combat Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu matches. And then we had 13 total kickboxing and boxing matches, including a couple professional matches where Eric Baker won a title, who we've had on the show before. Eric Baker did, he trains with Roy Jones Jr., and he just finished The Samaritan with Sylvester Stallone. Yep. He also has some musical albums. He did Undercover Brother back in the day, so he's kind of dabbles in a lot of different things, from boxing to acting to, mixed martial arts. So a really great person as well. We got to see him, ask his wife to marry him in the ring at Beatdown 19, I believe it was. So that was pretty exceptional. So overall, just a great event. We're looking forward to February 12th, Beatdown at the Beach 23 coming up. So
let's get it, man.
Huge event. It should be the biggest event we've ever had. It'll be the first one over at Edgewater, and we're very excited for it.
So February 12th, which means that we can start giving away tickets here.
Absolutely.
As soon as we get those in, we'll start giving away. I think we got 10 tickets, VIP table to Beatdown at the Beach 23, which will be February 12th, like Boston Tim was just saying. And if you haven't been to one of these events, get to your phones and let's make that happen tomorrow. When we get the tickets in, because for real, if you haven't been, you need to come to one of these events. First and foremost, the guy in the middle of the ring making things happen is just amazing. That's Boston Tim. And then Rob Moriarty and Impact Promotions have a lot of big things that they're working on and building, and I'm just extremely excited for all of the things that Rob and Impact has going.
Absolutely. They've just been been doing unbelievable things. It's been growing and growing, and I'm really proud of them. I'm very excited, and we can't wait for February 12th. It's right around the corner. Big event. check us out on eventbrite.com. Get your tickets.
That's money, dude. All right, we are done here on the Afternoon Underdogs. We're going to get you to Coach James Hale tomorrow at 7 a.m. We'll be back tomorrow at 4. Paul Feinbaum's coming up. We will have you with him until 7:30, where we'll have the pregame coverage for Auburn and Georgia.
ESPN Northwest Florida is your chance to win more cold, hard cash. $1,000 could be yours in the grand slam of cash. Listen for the code word weekdays at 8:45 a.m.